Sharan, for the very first time, because I've never met you. So I have to say hi to you first. This is my whole deal. How are you doing? Yeah? Amit,
Hi,
we,
hi.
we spoke very decently, but I'm not complaining. Each time I meet you is really special, man. How are you doing? All well? Yeah?
All well, Rishi. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, my brother. Janvi, welcome back to the movies.
Hi. Thank
Might I
you.
add, you're looking lovely, as you always do.
Thank you so much.
And hi, Kausar, how are you?
Good, good, good.
So, Janvi, let me start with you. Toxic masculinity plays out in different ways in this country. And sometimes what we think is the most normal of things, like not having a dedicated ladies' toilet at work. And that is such a, such a part of this film. Talk about that. And that must have really spoken to you as a woman too.
There were many things that I learned throughout the course of shooting this film and throughout the course of my interactions with Gunjan ma'am. Many things that I've never, I've been fortunate or lucky enough not to have had the experiences of dealing with. But I think it just made me realize more than anything how pressing it is as an issue in this country and I think in the world right now. And, I don't even think we can point a finger at anyone. I think it's just years and years of conditioning that have led even women themselves to believe that there are boxes and boundaries for us and based on what we should do and can do and can't do. And I think that's why this story is so important. It's about someone who didn't pay heed to those obstacles or didn't, understand the concept of boundaries because of gender roles or because of society's perceptions. So, yeah.
Amit, I love Bharat Ki Beti, and you've used the Shehnai to such a beautiful effect, bro. I mean, Kausar's words are wonderful enough, but and so is Arijit singing, but the Shehnai just gives me goosebumps. My question to you is, when do you decide a particular instrument is necessary for a song? Is it at the beginning, at the very outset, or late in the night when you're like halfway through the song maybe? And maybe you can talk in general and then come into the Shehnai.
First, the jamming session starts between the director and the lyric writer, of course. So we jam and create. The first attack is just to create a song, to create a great song, melody, lyrics, both of them. And then the Shehnai part is the arrangement part of it, the programming bit, the arrangement part of it, which comes in later, much later, once you have the song. And sometimes, most of the time, it has happened to me also, it has come simultaneously also. While I'm composing the song or creating the song, what instruments also start playing in my head, so that I have my computer with me, so I keep putting it down. Whatever ideas I have, I just keep putting it down. So it's pretty random actually. It's pretty random. It depends on film to film, song to song.
Yeah, with geniuses, lots of things are random. People think that, we have a structure, method, and this and that. You in particular. That's beautiful. Very well answered. So, Kausar, you've worked with a few first-time directors. I mean, Victor's first film, Vijay Krishna Acharya's Tashan, yeah. Habib's first, Habib Faisal's Ishaq Zadeh, Amit Sharma for Tevar. What did you find unique in Sharan as a debutant director?
Sharan knows his mind, which is brilliant. I've always... in fact, some of the names you've mentioned, I've had them say to me that we know what we don't want, which means keep giving us options. But Sharan knew what he wanted. Nice. He's open to options, of course, and discussions, but that's wonderful to have somebody who, but knows what he wants, knows his mind, knows his film. But also knows how to do it respectfully, knows how to kind of give you the, keep the onus on the fact that maybe you've done 5 more films than him, or, Amit knows his job and that's why he's been hired. So it's a rare combination, and especially for a first time director, to have that quiet confidence. Confidence, bahut logon mein hota hai, but to have that kind of quiet, gentle confidence, I think, is remarkable. So I keep saying, watch out for the film and watch out for this guy who's a great talent and a great human, I'd say.
Yeah, so the confident man need not remain quiet anymore. So the next question is to you. Sharan, it's an important film also because it deals with the Air Force. I mean, you don't want the people who protect us to be offended by what's shown in the film and how their officers behave. Have you had to show it to Air Force committees? Did you take the Air Force into confidence? Who was your consultant in the film on that particular front, which is such an important front?
Firstly, thank you, Kausar. So, of course, for a film like this, which is based on a true story, which is inspired by a true story on life of Vincent Saxena. It was very important for us to be absolutely authentic and real to the world of the film. I mean, for us, this word authenticity was a very, very big word right through the journey of the making of the film. In fact, me and my writer, Nikhil and Hussain, our discussion always were, let's not be too creative. Let's just take from life and kind of let that kind of come to the front. So we were extremely lucky that we had Gunjan ma'am's support in the making. I mean, she was involved on set. She would okay costumes. She would look at, we've shown her edits. So everything, she was like our supervisor right through the process of the making of the film. And we obviously followed the protocols of reaching out to the Air Force, showing them our script, and we did the whole drill that comes as a part of the process. Because for us, it's very important that we represent that world with a lot of authenticity and sincerity. And we're really proud of the opportunity to tell their story. And so we didn't want to take that for granted. We wanted to give it all the respect that it needs and it deserves. I mean, like very often there are a lot of these jokes made about different army films about this is wrong, that is wrong. Like, I think we try to be extremely diligent with every uniform, with every badge, with everything. And in spite, I mean, I've been getting some messages saying that we goofed up the salute, but if it's okay with you, I'd like to clarify that the salute changed in 2006. So we followed the time-sensitive salute that Gunjan ma'am taught us in the year 1999. So a lot of the people who've been saying that we messed up the salute, the rule changed in 2006, and we're aware of that. So, I mean, thank you for alarming us, but we've tried our best to do all our hard work and research because it needs that kind of respect.
Sure. So, Janvi, did you get on a flight simulator or a chopper simulator to train? I've seen one of those, and you just instinctively want to jump in there with all those dials and things like that. Did you have that experience?
Not a simulator, no, but I had the chance to sit in a real chopper quite a few times, once before filming as well. And Gunjan ma'am, I mean, she taught me a drill because I needed to do it for a montage cut of where what switch was and how to turn it on, and the Jenny switch and the lever and all of those things. So I was well versed with what is where and what it feels like to sit in a chopper. But what really helped was when I actually went to Georgia and I was actually sitting in the chopper when we were doing those aerial sequences. And that was actually a really interesting thing to shoot because we did all of the external shots in Georgia, and all of the shots of me peeping out of the chopper or looking behind, or my back shots. But then the shots of inside the chopper, my close-ups and our OSs between the pilots, we had to do in a green screen simulator. So we had like a chopper. So it's like if I'm looking out and I can see the Pakistani missile, I'll react in Georgia and I'll continue my reaction in India in a green screen room. So, but that was really helpful because when I was sitting in the simulated chopper when we were shooting those sequences, I knew where the Jenny switch was, where the rotor wheels, all of those things. So I didn't sit in a simulator beforehand, but I think after when we were doing the green screen, we had a simulated chopper.
I can almost hear Sharan's filmmaker brain going, there's going to be a lot of that looking out in Georgia and reacting in India with the pandemic and things like that.
When we were shooting our green screen stuff in Bombay, she had mastered the chopper so much that time she was correcting me, saying that, no, this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Sweet.
She knew what she was saying when we were in the chopper.
So, Amit, Arman Malik is working with the two of you together, which is Kausar and yourself for the first time. He's a good kid. He's doing some super work. He sent me a WhatsApp a picture of him on Times Square, huge billboard. So he's gone international now. So Man Ki Dori is one of my favorites from the album. Why did you voice cast Arman for that one? Why do you feel he's right for that one?
Actually, it was in my voice. It was actually a female song. It was in a female's voice earlier. We had recorded some 2-3 girls in it. And then, I don't know, something was not working. Something was not fitting in right for me and for Sharan also. So we thought, let's change the approach, and instead of doing a girl thing, let's get a guy to sing. And because it's a young, very fresh and young vibe song, we thought someone like Arman, a young boy like Arman, would do justice to it. And yes, this is my first time I've worked with him, but then I had worked with him in Chiller Party when he was a kid.
That was what, 8 years ago or something?
8-10 years ago. 8-10 years ago when I wanted a kid voice. So he was pretty small then. So this is after that, this is my first proper mainstream song with him.
Kausar, is there any difference when you approach the lyric writing in a biopic? I mean, approaching a Padman and a Gunjan Saxena as opposed to Adiya Zindagi and Ishaq Zadeh. I'm purposely mentioning Amit Trivedi and your films here, you know, so I hope you get that.
Which is at least for me, it's a winning combination. So
yeah, it is. It is wonderful.
Means,
such a beautiful combination. So, does the biopic thing bring with it its own challenges in terms of lyric writing or songwriting?
No, I think it would for dialogue, as a director or writer would tell you, because then again the word authenticity comes into play. But when it comes to lyrics, it is a kind of what dialogue doesn't say is what the lyrics say. So it's a more of an emotional space. So I'm never, of course, at the back of your head, you have to be, again, authentic to the time, space, language, vocabulary. But mostly it's the emotional state that you are conveying. And whether it was Padman, because that was a biopic, and this one, I kind of, again, rely heavily on the script and the direction which the director gives you of just... to kind of tatolna, आप उसको टटोलते हो.
Yeah, there is no word in English for tatolna.
So if you kind of go very by the book and you become very biographical about it, I think it loses the essence of going lyric.
Sure.
With it.
So Sharan, when did you first start getting interested in Gunjan Saxena's story? Who told you about this first, or was it out of the newspapers when the war was happening, when you were, small? And when did you start meeting her and documenting her life story?
So actually, I completely stumbled upon this article on Gunjan ma'am. It was in the month of February 2017. So it's been almost 3 years now since that. I completely stumbled upon an article on a website which spoke about how there was this girl who was 24 at the time of Kargil war, and she flew a helicopter to rescue Indian soldiers, and that her brother was also in the army in Kargil at the same time, and her father was an army officer too. So something about that story, something about that one paragraph I read just appealed to me. It just hit me in some way. I mean, I thought of I was an AD at the age of 24. Here, this girl at 24 was serving the country, flying an unarmed chopper. It just seemed quite fascinating. Brother, sister in Kargil at the same time. I mean, I have a younger sister. Somewhere those dynamics and thoughts kind of ran through my head. So I just literally, Vishnu Som from NDTV had done an article on Gunjan ma'am. And I got his number, reached out to him saying, sir, can you connect me to Gunjan ma'am? And I reached out to Gunjan ma'am. She thought it was a prank call. So she didn't respond to me for 3 days. Then she asked me to come meet her with a letter from Dharma. She said, can you please get a letter from Dharma? So I got a letter saying that, ma'am, please let me meet you and all of that. So it started in Feb 2017, and the research lasted almost 8 to 9 months before we even started developing a script. It was just meeting her parents, meeting her brother, and just understanding her, spending time with her, because I'm a kid from Mumbai, not really aware of too much of the defense and the Air Force. So I really needed time to kind of soak into that world. And
Janvi, I feel that you've underplayed or done it very naturally, which I really appreciate. I mean, the problem with patriotic films, especially ones dealing with the Army, Navy and Air Force, is there's a lot of chest beating, there's a lot of jingoism, and there isn't any of that zabardasti in this film. Is that because I don't know Gunjan ma'am at all, is that because Gunjan herself in real life is a little underplayed as a person, or is it your and Sharan's take on that character to play it without that external aggression and energy? I'm saying external because you've got to have that inside to be in the forge.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's one of the first things that Sharan realized when he met Gunjan ma'am, and that's slowly what I began to learn from her and learn about her after my interactions with her, is that, she's, I've said this before, but when I met her for the first time to ask her about what it felt like being the only woman in this environment, being the first one to go into a combat zone, and, how path-breaking it was what she did. And she just kind of looked at me and she was like, I just wanted to fly, and that's what I did. And it must have been hard for everyone. And I honestly took a beat and I was like, Sharan, I don't know, do we even have a story? Because she seemed so matter-of-fact about the fact that she just worked hard and achieved what she wanted to achieve. But I mean, that is the essence of who Gunjan ma'am is. She is I don't even know if underplay is the right word, but it's very black and white for her. You have a dream, you work hard, you achieve it. There's no hoo-ha about it. I'm a girl, I'm a boy, I'm this, I'm that, nothing.
That's so
and
beautiful.
I mean, that's not how society works, but that's how her mind works. That's how her father's brought her up. And I think it's so inspiring. So yeah, there were many tough situations. And I think that one of the things that she told me after watching the film, which I think was one of the most important things that I've ever heard, was, and it was the first time I actually heard her acknowledge that it must have been hard for her, is that she said that there were so many things that I couldn't say or that I felt that I never vocalized that I could see that y'all portrayed. So, I mean, till then, I don't think she ever acknowledged that, yeah, you know, we went through a lot and it was this and it was that. I never heard that from her.
Wow. So, Amit, I've seen the Noora sisters perform at the Paddy Fields Festival here in Goregaon. I was at the launch of the Prithvi Festival, just goosebump-inducing stuff. And you've got, one of them to sing in Asmaan Di Pari. So, how does it work? Do you send the unmixes to her via the email to the Punjab, and then she dubs over, sends the song back, or was it recorded in one of her trips to Bombay? So, first talk about the song and then the recording process, please.
Yeah, you're talking about Asmaan Di Pari.
Yeah.
So we were, I think, with this album, it was a collaborative discussion with Sharan and Kausar ma'am, that what kind of singers we want to go ahead with. And for this, when this song was created, when I composed it, when she wrote it, the structure was in place. We all thought Noora sisters would be the right choice, the right voice for this. We needed that powerful texture to this song, because the melody demands it. So it was no brainer. Our first choice was Noora sisters, but sorry. But we can't get both the sisters. It's very difficult because I have worked with them in the past. It's very, very tough to get both of them together in the city. So we got Jyoti Noora, one of the sisters, and we flew her down, obviously, from Chandigarh. Sorry, I don't know whichever part of Punjab exactly. And she came in the night. She was full energy. She dubbed the whole song, and Sharan was there. Kausar was there. We enjoyed. We had a blast.
Nice.
It was amazing.
So, Kausar, you've referenced Allama Iqbal's poetry, and this is the poet that gave us Saare Jahan Se Achha Hindustan Hamara. Why did you feel the need to reference his writing in the songs? Let's stick with Asmaan Di Pari.
I have long loved this, this couplet. खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर से पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. It kind of it actually just came to me when Sharan was kind of briefing us on this particular situation and the struggle that she's going through, and and as Janvi said, that internal strength and that internal sort of purpose. This couplet just came to my mind as the right descriptive for that situation, and I thought, instead of kind of trying to invent something around it, I'd just pay homage and leave it the way it is, and build from there. So, and also Shaheen, Parvaz, all that fits very well into the theme of the song in any case, and the film. So I think it's wonderful to be able to actually reference literature, and I like doing that actually, so that, I mean, I have now an 18-year-old, so she's no more kid, but to be able to bring greats and introduce them to the new generation in a sort of a fun and new way, I think that's I think that's legend.
I totally, and I remember you taking Allama Iqbal's poetry, the other one, Saare Jahan Se Achha, and doing what you did at Spoken Fest. I was in the audience and I was just absolutely mesmerized. The rest of you, you've got to go check that out on YouTube, her performance at Spoken Fest. Anyway, we digress. Sharan, I remember first hearing of you a couple of years ago when you directed that Johnny Walker film with Karan Johar in it. I mean, I know you worked on Ae Dil Hai Mushkil and Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, but would you say that particular Dharma 2.0 film with Karan acting in it was the turning point in your life en route to making a full-fledged film? Or, I mean, if yes, why? And if no, then what are the other projects you worked on that really set you up for the experience of directing Gunjan? I mean, this is not an easy first film to do.
So, the Dharma 2.0 ad film that I did with Karan, I'm happy that you saw it. It was a really fun project, really tiny scale, shot in the office on one tiny camera. It was more like a school project, film school kind of project kind of thing, just to go out there and do something. And I was nervous about directing Karan sir. I mean, I was his AD 2 months ago, and now I have to direct him. So that was fun. But I really think, for me personally, the turning point as such to want to direct films really came from my experience of working with Ayan Mukherjee on A1. He told me very early. I remember he used to ask me that, Sharan, do you want to direct films? And I used to give all the vague answers like, I think I want to work in film. I want to explore. He said, listen, if you want to be a director, you need to say it. You need to articulate that you want to be a director. And I think he really pushed me very early on in terms of at least training your mind to believe that, if you want to be a director, say it and think it. And that's only when you kind of be able to go down that path. So I really think that seed was really came into my head from the experience of working with Ayan Mukherjee, who I consider to be my Guruji. So yeah, I think it started before that. Actually.
So Janvi, are you and Sharan besties from way back when? Because I see you guys hanging a lot before the lockdown hit. I saw some pictures of you with another buddy of yours in Banaras. Was that a recce? So talk about your friendship. Was there a secret code saying, if you direct one day, you got to take me as a lead actress kind of thing? It happens with friends.
I say that now though. I say that now. Like, it's an unsaid thing. He knows that whatever he directs now, I'm going to be he doesn't even have a choice in the matter. I feel like for this statement alone now 10 nepotism comments, but it's okay. No, but I actually didn't know him at all before I met him for the film, and I didn't know him at all. And then he narrated the film to me, and we interacted a couple of times after, but it was very formal. And I don't know what happened in my head, but I was going to Tirupati. I was climbing up Tirupati for the first time, and I was just talking to him generally about the film. I was like, do you want to come with me? And I don't know how or why, but he said okay. And he's not the most religiously inclined person, I think. And but he said yeah, and he came, and we climbed 3,785 steps.
Whoa!
During that journey, we saw each other in every possible condition. So I think that really bonded us and kicked off our friendship. And since then, I think that he's definitely he's my best friend for sure.
So Kausar, I love the Rekha O Rekha song. It's so tongue-in-cheek and cute. Talk about writing that one.
अरे वो ही जो सबसे क्यूट और हैप्पी और इजी और फनी लगता है वो सबसे मुश्किल होता है. We actually started सबसे मुश्किल. I think party songs, fun songs, most wedding songs. Anyway, so our journey for on this album began with the song, and we didn't even get it right, especially me, till we had finished all the other songs, and we had to come back to it right at the end. And then they were like, अब रहने दो बहन, तुमसे नहीं हो पाएगा. तो जो है, so this was whatever the last option that I gave in was. I think then I very due credit there to actually Amit to kind of figure it out.
Okay, now Amit doesn't need to answer this because I just did one recently when he launched his record label and his YouTube page. The rest of you have to answer this. One skill you picked up in lockdown. So let's start with Janvi. Baking. So what do you do? Do you do a mean banana cake or a loaf? What?
No, a healthy chocolate fudge brownie. But unfortunately, I'm the only one who enjoys eating it in the house, and I think in the world possibly. So I don't know how much of a skill it is, but yeah.
Of course it's a skill. That's sweet. Kausar.
Yeah, skill I don't know because I revived old hobbies, very 18th century hobbies like embroidery. And but maybe learning to tolerate my family better.
That's a skill. That is a skill. Sharan.
So I've actually been trying to learn how to play the keyboard. Very inspired from it. So I've been trying to learn how to play the keyboard. It's kept me very entertained. I sent
And
Janvi.
me also. I keep getting videos of him singing Night Call and Coldplay and
Yeah. Me also.
Yeah, you know, your friends have to be the audience, man, whether they like it or not.
Exactly.
So well done on that. Listen, guys, lovely film, lovely music. You know, I'm streaming it all the time, and I just love the interview. I mean, there's no point me only feeling that way. I hope
No,
you
but
guys-
it was really very well done. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Kausar. Thank you, Janvi. Thank you, Amit. And thank you, Sharan. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.